more and more streams like this. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
There he is.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us? Maybe not.
Maybe he can hear
Look at
us.
that mic, though. He's going to sound great. We just sound like garbage.
Yeah. He's going to
He's gonna
sound
sing
pristine.
while we're on here too.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, that's probably the best scenario. We all sound like trash. He sounds like an angel.
I mean, everyone's
Actually-
got nice hookups. Oh,
Oh, there's progress, it looks like.
How about now?
Hello.
Ooh.
I can hear you. His mic does sound good.
What's up, Mark?
Hi, how's it going, everybody?
so dude,
How are you?
Oh,
You're-
peachy.
Mark, do you have the ability to adjust the output level on your mic? If you do, turn it up just a smidge, if you could.
How about now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Here?
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I love this shirt, man. That's freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've
Yes.
noticed from your posts, you and I think we are into a lot of the same stuff.
I think we are too, man. Kindred spirits. I love it.
Yeah. Especially a lot of the music you've been sharing, man. I
Mhm.
think you shared a Spirit Box song or something yesterday, and I was like,
They've become kind of one of my new obsessions. And I was last week years old when I realized, oh, that's Courtney from I Wrestled a Bear Once. Okay, cool. Didn't make that.
yep.
What? I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. It's
her.
so good.
You guys want to know? So I also recently found them because of Anthony, and I listened through their Spirit Box EP, and I was like, "Fuck, this vibes." And I
Oh, yeah.
listen to it again. I was like, "Damn, that screamer, he's awesome." Vocalist too, she fucking rips. Wow. And then I found out like it's just like her and her husband and then like the
That's-
drummer. Anyway, found out it was the one vocalist, and I was just like,
Yeah, she's kind of good.
she's
a
great.
little
It's
bit
like
good.
the
Freaking
clarity, the
insane.
depth, the sizzle, the harmonic content.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My god! I was showing my wife yesterday. I was listening to the Rio remix of like Holy Roller,
Mhm.
and so I'm just like kind of like grooving in the chorus. I'm like, babe, come here, listen.
The
She's
guitar
awesome.
playing, the guitar playing is just so awesome. Like every riff he plays is just like, dang, I wish I thought of that. I
I
love
know what
that.
that feels like, man.
I freaking love that guy.
I know how that feels.
Devin, or sorry, Mark, Devin
Yes.
and Jeff kind of introduced themselves already, but I just a real quick if you want to give an introduction yourself, or I can do it for you.
I want to hear it in Mark's own words from his voice, his lips to God's ears.
Well, okay, I can do my intro. It's fine. I've prepared my whole life for this. It's fine. I don't know how you guys introduced yourselves, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wing it. I am Mark Kmeyer, a musician, born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, the rare unicorn. You don't really find those so much these days. I'm an Aries. I like to podcast when I'm not screaming my guts out, and on occasion I like to write, and sometimes I have been known to dance.
I did see a video on your Instagram that was very enjoyable. You dancing. That was pretty funny.
My New Year's Eve
Yeah.
celebration. Yeah.
That was good. Dude, I
I
could
promised.
not find you on there. And then I was finally like, where's that? What the heck? But what's the history of that name?
Well, long sleeves I can't show you. I have a Batman tattoo. Batman's my favorite fictional character of all time. The 1989 Tim Burton film, dated as it might be, whatever. It was kind of a big deal, and that was the movie that birthed not only my my nerddom, as it were. It actually made me give a shit about watching movies and give a shit about film. And then, I got into the other things of like, hey, if you like that, you might like these other people that make non-superhero films. Like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And
Yeah.
so it all really starts with Batman, and that love has just never gone away.
Mhm.
I'm a big
Mark,
comic book nerd, so
Mark, I feel a little personally offended that you are calling my Lord and Savior Batman a fictional character.
well, you
So
know,
I'm not like too stoked about that right now, but I'll let it go. It's okay. It's okay. Not everyone sees the light right away.
Batman is your Buddha, right? Okay, I got you.
I'm more of a Superman, Wonder Woman kind of guy myself.
Man, you DC dudes, huh?
Hey, look, I don't discriminate. Let me be clear. To be fair, I am a equal opportunist with the comic book franchises.
Right on.
I don't commit to just one. I'm just saying, if I had to give one of them the credit for me being who I am, it's Batman.
It's pretty cool. That's a good way to like your spirit superhero, I guess, to some extent.
Exactly.
Spider-Man, dude.
Who do you
Always
think
Spider-Man.
Love Spider-Man. Love
Who do you
Spider-Man.
think played the best Batman in the films, in all of the films we've seen so far?
Ooh,
This
that is a loaded
battle.
question. But are you gonna be ready for this? Because there is
Yeah.
not just one answer. There are many answers.
What?
Uh-huh. Here you go. You ready? The best voice of the Batman is Kevin Conroy from the animated series, various movies. You know him. Kevin Conroy is the iconic dude. As far as the Bat voice, it's him, hands down. The best on-screen representation of both Bruce Wayne and Batman is Ben Affleck.
Damn.
Mhm.
However,
oh, that took a hard turn that I was not prepared for.
well,
Whew.
but the thing you have to understand when I say that is because Affleck is 6'4.5". He's a big dude. Batman is usually depicted as a big dude. Not only that, and you can attribute this to the filmmakers, but they gave him the most comic book accurate outfit of all the movies you've ever seen. He is literally, if you open the pages of the comic book The Dark Knight Returns, written by Frank Miller, it's literally Batfleck. It's literally Batfleck. Even the fact that they aged him up older, because that Batman is older, and it's a direct rip. So for that, I gotta say, and honestly, it's a little bit of spite, because everyone in the world, the internet crashed when he got cast. And I said, you know what? I don't think he's going to be that bad. Matter of fact, he might actually be really awesome. And in my opinion, he was really awesome. That is no disrespect to Keaton. Love Keaton. It's a very different Batman, but obviously he's the one that birthed the fandom, that Batman. Love Christian Bale, hated his voice. Don't know why. I mean, Christian Bale, bad voice was a choice.
So that's what's given me such whiplash. Is I find it really interesting, and I think very appropriate that you differentiate the voice Batman, because like when they're in the mask and the whole suit, it doesn't matter who's in it because it's just the voice. It's the bat suit and the voice. So that was that's really interesting. I hadn't actually thought of that before, but then I was expecting you to say, and I'm biased because I really enjoyed the Christian Bale's rendition of Bruce Wayne, was kind of expecting that. And I really, really hated Ben Affleck's rendition of it personally.
Different strokes is fine.
But I think it's because I was conflating two aspects of Batman where you're saying, which I think is more accurate, that they're sort of two distinct things. So
right. It's kind of like if you grew up watching the reruns of the 66 Batman with Adam West.
Yeah.
You might, if you grew up on that, you might think, well, that's Batman, and I don't know what the hell's going on with these Nolan movies. Why is he so dark? He's supposed to be fun and, kicking butt with Robin. You might be that guy, but then you realize these are two different types of Batmen, as it were. And so that's the way I look at it. It's there's this Batman, and we've got all those from the past, and then we've got the current ones. And hey, guess what? We've got a new one coming up. Think of it as a Shakespeare role. You know how many people have played Hamlet, and you know how many of them have played Hamlet a different type of way? Spoiler alert, a lot. So just think of, I'm going to say it, think of Batman as modern day Hamlet.
That's awesome. Or like James Bond. I mean, they do the same thing with that.
Yeah, there you go.
60 years worth, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to say, kind of jump on Kevin Conroy. I think one of the reasons why he really nails it is he's got like the perfect kind of like leader, dark brooding, and then also he nails like also the Bruce Wayne sections where I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of the live action Bruce Waynes are just kind of like rich snobby dude, where
Sure.
I think he kind of like really even for a cartoon, like he's more believable with that voice of being, you know, this like larger than life human being, you know, that can do all this crazy stuff.
I do not disagree with you.
Yeah. I do want to move it kind of forward, and I got Mark's introduction in here, so I do want to move it over to Devin. Buddy,
Yo,
do you want to give an introduction to the stream?
yeah. So, you mean about the song personally, the connection to it?
Well, just you know who you are, what not necessarily with this song, but just introducing yourself to anybody who would watch this video.
Yeah, I guess Mark was included in, but yeah. So yeah, I've been playing guitar for 17 years. That's always been my love and joy, man. And then I was telling the other guys that beer sort of came on my early 20s. But music's always been that passion, really. It's just like that deep-rooted passion of who I am, and like any musician defines who they are and what they listen to. But yeah, I got really into it and haven't got out of it. I'm still playing in a band now, although with COVID happening, that diminished that. But we're still trying to write songs, crank new shit out, and I'm also still trying to brew as much beer as I can while working at a brewery and pursuing
Oh, man.
both those passions. So yeah, that's me.
Sounds like the dream.
Beer and guitar, man.
Yep. And then finally, my good friend Jeff.
What's up, everyone? My name is Jeff Neiman. I live in Washington, D.C. I've been playing guitar myself for, God, now I have to do math. So I'll let others do the math. So I just turned 31, and I started playing guitar maybe when I was like 11, 12 years old, but then I took like a 6.5 year hiatus. I sold all my gear. I'm originally from Illinois, sold all my gear, moved to California. I'd never been west of Illinois, so I went just about as west as you could go without going to like Seattle, obviously, for a girl. Long story short, we ended up getting married. And then when we moved back to the States, kind of slowly started getting back into playing and had to get my chops back up. So I'm definitely a guitarist. I'm not like a great guitarist. I've, written music myself. Like last year was dedicated to trying to achieve a goal that I set to like write, produce, record, and release like my first EP, which I'm like super stoked that I was able to do last year. And then this year, I've been really wanting to get more involved, sort of like not so much in the writing process, but in like the engineering and the production and the mastering. And like, Anthony came to me with the proposal of like, hey, like here's kind of the dream that I have. I've got these, tracks that I want to finish, that some are done, some I'm working on release. Like, do you want to jump on board and like help? And I was like, hell yeah, this actually came at the perfect time. Because like Anthony and I, we met, God, it was like it wasn't 2 years ago. It's probably like a year and a half ago, sort of like 6 months before COVID kind of hit. Like we just were standing in line for a Periphery concert, and like I'm such a huge fan of them, and also just like anything I'm a fan of, like I just go all in. So I'm like, I drive into Maryland to go see them by myself because I don't care. Like I want to see this band. I love their music. And so I'm standing in line and I overhear them chit-chatting about something. And they were just like, what song was that? And I was like, I think it was this one. And they're like, yeah. And so we just like, we hit it off. He was with his buddy. And we just like hung out the whole night, chatted, and from there just developed into sort of like a, professional relationship as well as like a friendship. So like on one of the songs on my EP is called Phantom Thread, like Anthony wrote like a good chunk of it and like is featured like on a solo on it as well, and like was very much part of the creative process for me. And so it's just been sort of like this fun organic thing of like, hey, I'm trying to do this, like what are your thoughts, like do you want to be involved in it in some way? And like this is kind of like where we landed now, is like I'm trying to help support him in this process and endeavor to releasing his first EP, but his first like single, right, Anthony? Like this is kind of technically you're considering it your first single because you've released songs before in the past. I know that, but
Yeah.
like this is like the first one, Concrete Nosedive. So it's a pretty like monumental thing for you. And I'm just like really thankful to be part of the process and also work with like really incredible musicians like you, Devin, and Mark, like an incredible vocalist, and being able to sort of like grow and develop my own like audio engineering background. Like I am not a professional engineer by no stretch of the imagination. And so it was like a really cool opportunity to be entrusted with doing something like this. And, you know, I hope that the end result sort of like speaks for itself, and we've still got, you know, half a dozen or so like more tracks to release. So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, that was really good. I think the song was oh man, what's the one that's like the title's like "Don't Go Outside"? Remain Indoors.
Remain indoors. Yeah, don't go outside.
Dude.
They knew
the paraphrase of the name, but yeah, Tim and I couldn't figure out. I was like, man, I really hope they play "Remain Indoors" because it was right after Periphery 3 dropped. I'm pretty sure, or something like that. And it was the other person there was my good friend Tim, who also listens to basically every demo I've ever done. And I'm like, does this suck or is this good? And he'll give me like, you know, like the what's the Gladiator movie when he's like, yeah. So Tim is a good friend of mine. And then I'll just segue right into, I'm Anthony Tardino. If you're here, you likely know who I am. You're hopefully here to listen to my music that I've created with some friends here. So I won't talk too long about myself, but does anybody else have anything else they want to say before we go into the live listen?
Just to echo what he said earlier about being lucky and very grateful to be a part of the project. When I heard the music, I just said, just on a whim, like, hey man, if you want vocals on it, I could probably throw some on there. He's like, yeah, go ahead, do that. I'm like, oh shit, okay. So now I have to follow up. And then it took a while too. It was just like, oh, I don't know, like I don't want to turn out a bad product. And that was why it took so long to get to you, was the fact that I said I don't like anything of what I'm singing. I don't like what I'm writing. And when I try to produce this thing myself, it sucks. Luckily, I happen to like live with another guy who does his own like self-production, and you know, he has the Pro Tools, he has all the stuff, and he goes, you know, if you need help, I can help you. I said, okay, please help me. So that was
I saw him share the song today, and that was the tracks that he sent over were freaking awesome. Like they were super clean, and I mean, you and I, we met. We haven't talked about this yet. So Mark and I met performing at a show in Nashville that my very close friend Tara had invited me to come to Nashville to play in. And
was that a charity, Anthony?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. So it was a charity.
Wow. Oh, sick. Okay, cool. That's awesome.
It was a charity for originally for the wildfires in Australia, but last minute, right before, you know, this COVID thing is ramping up, and then also tornadoes had struck downtown Nashville and like ruined a lot of those like really classic buildings and even some of the venues there. So they switched it. Obviously, no reason to send a bunch of money over to Australia when the people there in Nashville were struggling. So that even made it even kind of closer to home for me to like, you know, be able to help out with something like that and get to meet a bunch of really awesome people. I still remain in touch with pretty much everybody I played with. But Mark and I played on the song "This Fire Burns," and that really stuck with me because I started writing this song shortly after that, and I think I said this in my video, like the PSA video, but like honestly, Mark, I've really had your voice in mind for this song. Like, so when you commented on the Thatcher demo that I have and will release eventually, I was immediately like, all right, I gotta send him Concrete Nosedive because I knew a voice like yours, like it spoke to me in that way. So,
well, happy that you did, and happy that I took a shot. Yeah, I shot my shot too. It's like, yeah, I mean, like I could maybe make something happen with this. I think I've got the capability of doing it, and lucky me, you were enthusiastic. I didn't know you had me in mind until later. So that's very flattering, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. That show, I mean, This Fire Burns was one of my favorites to play. And then I really, one of the parts that stuck out to me is the very end, the end of Heartache. I didn't mean to go the end of Heartache, but the end of Heartache, that the performance on that was really awesome. And I just remember that other guy jumping up on stage and singing the backing vocals was freaking wild. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I have no idea. Apologies, dude, if you're out there. Like I didn't get your name. I just knew you were enthusiastic and jumped on stage because I was lacking in the clean vocal while I was screaming my head off. So
Yeah.
I was very appreciative of that guy. But again, I didn't catch his name.
That guy killed it just for some. I obviously.
If someone's gonna jump on stage and grab the mic, like you gotta have like a little bit of trust in being like, you've got the guts to come up here, because it's like they're not gonna embarrass themselves, right? Nobody wants to embarrass themselves. Like if they want to do that, they would just run around stage and like be a fool. But that is such a wild experience, and also just sort of like interesting to think about, especially as we're going on like a year and like COVID, of just like a random stranger came in and like grabbed a microphone or something.
Spit into it,
yeah. But that is such a good song.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I love that performance. But the irony is, Anthony, I don't know if you know this, I wasn't supposed to sing that song.
Oh, really?
Matter of fact, I was not supposed to sing This Fire. Matter of fact, most of the Killswitch songs I sang that night, I was not supposed to do. There was another guy who had signed up for them, and he didn't show up for the rehearsal. Because he was worried. He's like, I don't think I'm gonna do, because of all this COVID things, I don't think I'm gonna do it. And so I happened to just speak up and say, if you need someone to fill in for the rehearsals, so these guys aren't just playing with their thumbs up their asses, I'll be the fill-in guy. Mm-hmm. And Mike and Tara were like, yeah, okay, whatever, because they didn't really know me that well. They didn't know what I could do. They had just heard from a person. It's like, hey, this guy wants to be a part of it, and then he's like, okay. So I sang him, and they're like, okay. And so when the show came, Mike came up to me and said, can you still do those Killswitch songs? Because I don't think the other guy's showing up. And frankly, I don't care if he shows up. I said, yes, I can. And magic was born. So it was just kind of luck of the draw, man.
Yeah, those performances were really awesome. And I forget the other songs that you played, or that you sang, but I was really impressed by all of them. Really, I mean, all those musicians, it's interesting going to a place like Nashville. And I've played in this area, for the last 15 years pretty much. And it's definitely a different vibe. Maybe hearing that from somebody from Maryland, you've been in Nashville all your life, but everybody there who sends me anything, as far as audio or the performance I've had there, everybody is so knowledgeable, and they live, breathe, eat, sleep this stuff, man. It is wild. It's really, it's called Music City for a reason.
They're kind of it was really actually super heartening to do that show, because when I was younger, I got steeped into the metal scene. A lot of the kids did. They were like, well, let's, post-hardcore is the thing right now. Let's all, try and make our way. And then I watched it die. And then I said, cool. Well, I guess the music thing's not going to happen. I'm going to go get my college degree, and so I can get like a big boy job after all this is over. Wonk, wonk. But as far as I knew, the metal scene was dead, because there was just the only time you could go to a show was when a touring artist was coming through. Like Periphery came through like several times. I would make trips from I went to Ole Miss for college, so I would come down from Mississippi to Nashville to watch Periphery or Killswitch or all those bands. But then I was where are the local shows? They're just not happening. So that show made me feel amazing, because, as you said, there's just a ton of musicians there that all knew their stuff, all enthusiastic to play metal tunes. And I thought, maybe the metal scene's not quite as dead as we thought. That's a good feeling. So yeah, keep it up, Music City. Let's show them that we are diverse.
Yeah, that was really awesome to be a part of. And, thank you to you and everybody else who was there for welcoming me in such a way. Like, you really all left an impression on me. But not to cut that conversation short. I do want to talk to you about that again later, but I want to go ahead and get into the live listen of this, just for anybody who's interested, or, you know, they haven't necessarily clicked all the links that I have spammed over the last couple days. But we have the pleasure of looking at Jeff's beautiful mess here. So go ahead, and I'm gonna mute myself and kind of let Jeff take it over for a little bit.
Yeah, here we go. First listen.
You guys are all three freaking awesome. Like, I love all three of you. I don't even care. I'll say it right now.
It's complete, man. It's a complete.
Yeah. There's so many things I want to talk about, and I really don't know any of the process of it, however Mark came up with anything. that he wrote. So there, I definitely want to hear, because I think I sent you about a paragraph of instruction, and you had just like silently sent that to my Gmail on a Sunday night, and I woke up to it on Monday and literally cried in my shower listening to it while trying to stay quiet. So I didn't wake up my fiance. So it was a pretty emotional moment to hear, like, holy crap, somebody has taken my song and like recontextualized some of these parts for me in such a way. It was really awesome. So there's a part in there where all the rhythm guitar is cut out, and there's just all it's all like electronica and like drum and bass kind of stuff, and Devin has a guitar solo. Well, you would be surprised to know I wrote literally nothing for that section. that is all Jeff. I sent him the MIDI of guitar profiles for this song, and I was like, dude, I just need like another section. Can you like take these guitar profiles and like make some kind of cool like ambient section? Because if you don't know Jeff's style of music, like he is just great at this like huge wall of sound, like guitars that like he has a song called Whale Songs, which is like so perfectly named. Like I literally want you to do that, but for my song.
Give me Whale Songs.
Yeah. So he wrote that, and then shortly after that I sent Devin my entire album, like everything I'd written so far, and I was like, dude, I need a section. I want you to put a guitar solo, because you were like one of the best guitar players here in Frederick. Like it would be sick to like represent that and have that on my album. So of course he picks up one part that I didn't write. So there's this whole like 45-second section in the beginning of the song that I have nothing to do with, and maybe it's a little bold of me to put a 45-second guitar solo in the beginning of a song, but I don't give a fuck. I love you guys. Whatever.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, whatever.
So I don't know who wants to jump in and kind of talk about.
So I'll actually let's build on Anthony. So like Devin, I'll give like a little perspective from my end. So like when Anthony sent these over, so Anthony and we'd already spent like quite a bit of time engineering like the drum sound, like how we wanted everything to sort of feel. We both are familiar with like our bass tones and like how to work with them, and we also like worked on and engineered some guitar tones together. And so like I was pretty familiar with like what he was going to send me, and like the wild card was like seeing what you sent me, and I dropped it in there. And like honestly, maybe I'll share my screen just to sort of like reiterate this point, but like I feel like I did like nothing, like just like be like outside of just like sort of normal notching and just making things like look fit within the mix. Like the stuff that you sent me was just such a good source tone, like as it was. Sweet. So let me bring up this section. So here we go. Yeah, I got the guitar solo here. Yeah,
like blow Jeff's mind very soon, but continue.
Yeah, just like a little bit of like stereo spreader to sort of like fill out some of the space on there. And like, yeah, like the EQ on there, these look like much bigger like dips than they actually are, but like really like the source tone was just absolutely incredible. And I use this Tube EQ. I'm a big fan of using stock Logic plugins, mostly because I'm not rich or sponsored by anyone, so I got to use what I have. But the little amount of work that I actually had to do to work with this was like outstanding. So that's just like sonically. But then in terms of like the process and the writing and the actual like melodies and harmonies that you came up with, like those really stood out sort of like in their own right, but also contextually within the song. Like how did you go about writing your solo for this? And what was sort of like your process there?
So yeah, I mean, this part stood out to me. Like Anthony sent me, like you said, he sent me, was it 6 or 7 songs at least to pick through? Yes. And this song specifically like stood out for that reason, because of like the ambient sort of textural background of noise, which I fucking love, man. Like those are the things that I really love to solo over, with maybe a little bit more actual like distorted guitar. But I'd never done a solo like this over something that's pretty quiet in terms of like actual guitar noise in the background, really no guitar noise. But yeah, Anthony said it yesterday in that interview he did for Sloan School. Is like Periphery, man. Like you get a lot of inspiration, and like I listened to a couple more Periphery songs to sort of get that inspiration of like how do they create a melody while also being that shred-tastic sort of guitar tone, man, and just like so I try to blend those two together without being too much shred, but still again creating like a layer of melody that goes with the background and the rest of the song, obviously, and just pick those parts where you do shred, you do melody, and then you don't do too much because too many people nowadays are just like go balls to the wall and just kill it. And even still now, like Anthony will tell you, like him and I sat on this for a while. It's just like we recorded it that night. It took a while because I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and then we redid it, and then we redid another part, and then we redid another part, and then finally all came together, and that was it, man. That was the solo.
It's a really accurate description. So it's like you really balance, like it wasn't a total like note salad, and that's kind of like what I get from you is like people that are shredding are just like throwing note salads, and it's like technically impressive. Like okay, that's really cool, but in terms of like what it's doing to the song, sometimes it like doesn't actually add anything. Sometimes it actually like takes away from it.
Yeah.
I remember when Anthony texted me like when he had like connected with you and you both like kind of sorted everything out. He was like, dude, I got a shredder for the solo. And I was like, all right, like let's see how this goes. And it was just like it fits so well with the vibe of the song. It was just that perfect balance of like technically impressive, not just impressive. I feel like impressive takes away from like the true like craftsmanship and artistic nature of it. Like a true balance of like taking some of those more legato notes and like using that really soft vibrato to sort of like blend in and retain some sort of like melody between all of that stuff. So that was like awesome. I don't know, Anthony, if you wanted to add anything. Otherwise, I had some questions for Mark.
I do actually. So I'm glad you mentioned Periphery because when you came over to record this, I remember you specifically bringing up the song, and I had to look it up because it's been a while since I listened to Periphery too.
Yeah.
Luck as a Constant was the song that you, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like that. That's just like when you mentioned that song, that's just a cold drink of water. It's delicious. But yeah, that I do remember you bringing up that song, and Jeff, maybe it will surprise you, buddy, but what he played through was the freaking Axe Effects patch that you sent me. It's a lead patch you sent me.
That's so crazy because it's like I just assumed he was like recording through his own rig, and that was actually going to be one of my next questions. And so when you said like he came over to record, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like a little bit of a knucklehead. That makes a lot more sense now. Like
that's awesome. Specifically, man, like there are ways to sort of work around like how much intonation you're putting into those, and like too much gain. You sort of draw back on that, and like there is a way to sort of feel out like there's too much gain in one section, and then you sort of I mean, that's just guitar playing, man. It's just like you sort of tune back and then you pull in, and that's like playing with what you can feel and hear. So it worked out, man.
Yeah, I will say we spent about a night recording this guitar solo, and Devin's just an awesome guitar player. Like he had like sections kind of put together, and it was interesting getting to play the producer role of like, well, what if we let everything stop and then like you come in and then like, maybe we cut like one measure, how do we do that? And that whole process was really fun. I think, hopefully it was fun for you, but at least for me, it was super fun.
Yeah, man, it was weird. That's how it goes sometimes. Like I've written a lot of solos in studio, and I'm like, no, that's bullshit. We're gonna scrap most of this because it's just too much picking patterns, and then you get back into it, and you're like, that's the sweet spot, and that's where it hit, man.
Yeah, I think this solo is really awesome, and I don't care that it's in the beginning of the song. Anybody has a problem?
Yeah,
dude. Fuck off. But you had a question for Mark, Jeff. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so Mark, so first, like a compliment is like, like what you sent me was, I just like, I couldn't believe like how clean everything was, how tight everything was, how well everything was like balanced. And like, really it was just like I'm sharing my screen here, like you can see like on your vocals, like I'm not doing like a total hard pan. I'm doing like a 50% left, 50 right, keeping your center one there. Same with your screams, just like a little bit less panned and on like both sides, but like
Yeah.
was very, very impressed with the tonation of your voice. Like curious to know if you want to reveal any of the little secret sauces you did. Like, did you use any tuning on this whatsoever?
I can reveal that. No, I did not.
Okay, all right. So I'm so glad that's the answer. It was unreal how like there were I had to do like millisecond adjustments on some things, like just to get some syllables to line up a little bit more. But like the tonality of everything, like your intonation, you were just like spot on. And like one of the last things that I did, like I got everything right. I did all the, like there's these memes running around is like, what does mastering actually do? It just makes things louder. Yeah, no, that's really like a lot of what I did on your voices. Some things I made some things louder, took care of some like the plosives and the sibilants and all that stuff, just to like balance it all.
Yeah.
Especially like your scream on the sharks, like that was something we had to tackle sort of later in the process. But at the very, very end, I threw on like a stock Logic like tuning plugin, and like I didn't touch it. So this is the first thing. The plug, it just sounded so great on like just in its default setting. And then I was A-Bing it left and right, like just on and off. And I was like, oh, this is not doing much at all. But it literally took what you sent me. It took the 98% to like 100%. And it did almost like nothing to do it. So it was like really impressive to get the vocals that you have. So I'm curious of like, what was your process in terms of recording the sort of like musicality of the vocals? And then also like I'd be really interested in hearing your process in writing the vocals, because I feel like they're sort of, at least for me, I felt like they were very kind of salient to this moment that we're all sort of like living through.
Yeah, well, as far as the process technical wise, trial and error is sort of what I'm getting from the guitar solo process was sometimes it's working, it's not working, it's not working, then finally you find the sweet spot, as you say. It might surprise you to know this song had a completely different set of melodies and lyrics that I scrapped like a day and a half before recording this, because I said none of it works. I'm trying way too hard to sound like Spence from Periphery, because again, that's the word of the day, Periphery, because that was the vibe I was getting from it. That's not a knock or anything. I was like, no, I'm getting Periphery vibes, and it seems like that's the consensus all around. But I was trying too hard and it was just not sounding good. So I said, okay, cool. So let me just try and do this a little more simply. And, some of that old vocal training that they beat into my skull for so many years in school, it was like, hey, find the melody, dipshit, and like lean into it and go with it. And so what came out was this, with the exception of the little kind of bridging area, the my heart's still beating part, that took like 2 or 3 times, because I kept my buddy who recorded me, he was just kind of like, are you happy with that? I go, nope, let me try a different line. Did it again. Nope, let me try a different line. This sucks, this is terrible. And then I finally found it, and I go, if I put some harmony on that, maybe it'll hit that sweet spot, as we say. And I think we did. It sounded all right to me. He was having a ball, because although he's done a lot of self-production, he's never done metal before, so it was a new process for him, which was great. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say as far as the technicality goes. What my process was, it was just, hey, dipshit, find the melody, lean into it.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, correct. And then I knew that the opening verse, if you will, was going to be all guttural screams. I knew that, because I said, well, this song is just begging for it, so why not? So it's gonna happen. And then also, I had a completely other line of clean vocals to go on, but it was interfering with the solo. And I went, what if I just don't sing anything there? So just let the solo breathe. That's why it's called a solo. And I did. And I said, yo, that's so much better. What am I doing? I'm just, again, trying too hard. But
That's
yeah,
so funny. I feel like from the comments that we've all made, and like, so this is for those of you watching at home. This is the first time that like I've met Devin and Mark, and the first time they met me. Like, and Anthony and I are like, we've been friends for a couple of years now, but they have like deeper, longer relationships with Anthony. So it's kind of this interesting sort of hodgepodge of a collaboration, you know, sort of intentional or like just unknowing. And all of us have approached it in a really similar way of like letting the song, the melody, and everything like sort of speak for itself and add to it. Don't try to take anything away from it. And so it's kind of interesting to hear you say like this solo section, I had this whole like you know, melody like written, and you just decided to pull away from it, you know, like let the section speak for itself. And there's, yeah, I think it's a really cool, we came up with a really cool like end result by just like respecting what the song was, you know, and like what Anthony was like trying to do. And I, from like the kind of like mastering and mixing side, I felt like everything you all did truly added like something really invaluable to it. So it is very cool to kind of see that.
Yeah, that was, I guess, the main thing that I finally grasped was like, don't change, just add to it, just give it some extra flavor. It's already tasty as it is, but you know, just a little extra seasoning. You don't want to overdo it.
Kind of jump in right where you were talking. I do want to go back to my morning shock to Mark Kameyer's Concrete Nosedive, because there are parts that like I do a little bit of vocals myself. I don't sing, but I've done hardcore vocals for Devin's bands in the past. So like I have a little bit of experience doing that. And your approach to some of these parts, just like I've never had somebody take a song that I've thought about. It's festered in my brain space for hundreds of hours, and completely recontextualized some parts for me. Like the beginning, the like the first time you hear that, you screaming, oh my gosh. When Jeff sent over, like when he started really getting the scream sounding good, I was like, oh my God, like Mark's a fucking genius. And oh man, it's like holy shit, I never would have done that. But and then the part that really hit me is the chorus, you know, how can one keep breathing? Like the way that you sing it is like, it really has like a super Howard Jones vibe to me. Like I don't know, I think other people get that vibe too, but I'd be curious to see. But it's really cool. And when I initially listened to this, that part and the my heart's still beating, that part were my favorites. But after Jeff's mix, dude, it's you see me try to get away, you know. Yeah. Oh my gosh, when that part hits, it just like, it makes me like, you took the emotional energy of what I was trying to do with that part, and you know, I don't like consider myself the best songwriter. I'm just trying to write the best that I can right now, which is a line I'm taking from Jeff. But I feel like that's like probably the most emotional part of the song, and you just crank that up to, you really make that part personal, to where people can relate to that, you know. And that's, I really love what you did with this song, like hearing some of the parts like the breathe in, breathe out, like I never would have thought of that. That's like, it's such a percussive use of your voice, but it's like, it's so gent, but this song is like hardly gent, but still kind of like, I love it, man. I don't know how. Yeah, like if the singer from Meshuggah, or if the vocalist from Meshuggah would look at this song, he would have thought of breathe in, breathe out. Like that's like textbook Meshuggah. Like he takes those percussive elements and like elevates them. You did that in a song that's like happy and like all like up on, you know, the eighth fret plus. Like I'm not playing on an 8-string guitar. Like that's really cool.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, they those percussive sounds it spoke to me in that way. Uh it was almost as if like there's no other thing I can scream right here except for that. And it was actually that really helped me rebuild what the song was inevitably going to become.
So curious, Mark,
Mhm.
like how, like you as a vocalist, like I feel like writing music in general, like throwing in sort of like a two-step beat is like a really kind of cheater way to sort of like really create some movement and like make the listener want to just kind of like jive in their seat. How like
Sure.
how does that affect you when you're writing as like as a vocalist? Because like what you laid on top of that sort of two-step thing into you know, like the My Heart Still Beating, moving into there, like how do you write something like that? How do you approach that? What does that make you feel when you approach it as like as a singer?
Uh, I mean, just diving into it, no pun intended. But when I asked Anthony what this song wanted to be, or like what did you want this song to be, or like what does Concrete Nosedive mean? Yeah, like the brief description you gave me, I said, maybe I can work with that. But to be honest with you, kind of this is giving me like a crazy anxiety. And maybe it was because of the whole process. But then I said, aha, okay, this whole year has been giving us crazy anxiety. So this song is literally, I took a Concrete Nosedive and turned it into overcoming anxiety. That's essentially what this thing is about. And so as you say, Anthony, that opening sort of screaming line is just kind of like, well, yeah, we've all been here. We're all still here right now with the way we don't know what tomorrow's going to be. We don't know, hey, what crazy thing are they going to tell us we need to do next? What crazy thing are we going to find out because of, you know, the world being what it is? And it's just like some of us out there are not doing well with it. Yeah, present company included. Sometimes I have my good days and my bad days. So that's what this was. It's like, well, what do we do on those days where we kind of want to turn a good day or a bad day into a good day? And so, yeah, that's where the song kind of took shape. And as far as, yeah, lyrically, it's sort of, you know, I took the form of sometimes these things come in waves, and sometimes these waves crash down, and all you can do is keep swimming and breathing, man, because if you don't, you're gonna drown. And
Oh yeah.
and that serves no purpose whatsoever.
So Anthony had to drop for just a quick second. He has to restart his computer. He's having some technical issues.
I've been there, yeah.
We've all been there. God, living in this.
Yay, Zoom.
But it's really cool to hear you describe your lyrics that way, because like at least for me, like that was sort of what I was getting from it. And I feel like as somebody who is not like, I don't write lyrics, like I sing a little bit, but like it's mostly just like singing with songs and covers and whatever, but I don't actually write vocals for a lot of different reasons. And I think that's like really hard to do, because a lot of it is very much like, one, you're performing musically using your voice, but two, you're writing lyrics, you're writing poetry, right? You're trying to evoke an emotion, communicate some sort of like meaning. And it makes me feel like I wasn't crazy interpreting your lyrics that way, because I feel like as a listener, sometimes we contextually interpret lyrics differently. It's like why music sort of has different meanings throughout the course of our lives.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We heard it at this point and it meant something, and like we grew up later and like maybe pulled something a little bit different from it. So it's sort of like encouraging to hear that I wasn't like totally batshit off the walls and interpreting.
No, not yeah. No, you weren't at all. And as, to go back to your question about how I approach it lyrically with you know, the whole two-stepping of it all. I mean, it never hurts to throw in a hook that people are going to remember and want to groove to. I have found over the years, now that my jadedness has sort of faded away, or pretentiousness, whatever you want to call it, It's like, no, you want to write something that people are going to remember. Therefore, your music is going to gain traction. Okay, that's what it's all about. So don't be afraid to lean into that. And hey, as I said at the top of the stream, on occasion I will dance. So if I can give myself a reason to dance something to something, then all the better. Then I assume other people will want to join in.
Absolutely, dude.
Sorry for the brief intermission. My
we get it, man.
driver decided to. It just was done working for the day. So
someone look for an excuse to get Anthony a new sound driver.
I'll have us back up here in a second.
Okay, all right. So should we just? Well, we're still recording on my end at least, but we're not streaming. Oh, he's gone.
Nope, there he goes.
He's gonna be like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey. Oh. Let's go.
All right. Why is it doing this? OBS open. I gotta get back into YouTube and my recording software. Sorry about that. Yeah, I definitely need to figure out what's going on with my sound driver. So
it's ready to get its weekend started. It's just like, nope, we're done working. It's weekend time.
Yeah, dude. Feed it a couple beers, dude. Just pour it into your computer. Just right into it.
Right in.
Have you guys ever seen the show Parks and Recreation?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, sorry. So I'm 31, right? And so I'm gonna edit this whole chunk out from my end.
Yeah, please edit this whole.
But a lot of people have not seen that fucking show. But one of my favorite scenes was when Andy Dwyer comes up to the computer they're having tech problems with. He's like, "Oh, it's okay. I know exactly what to do," and he goes. Just completely knocks it off the tip. Oh, it had me in stitches, tears every single time I see it. So
it's never not funny.
When you're pour some beer in it, I'm like, or just blow on it and then blow.
Kids today will never know the struggle.
It's like an N64, dude.
64, the NES, the Super NES,
yes.
Even the Sega. Sometimes you just give it a blow.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Slam it in.
Wow.
Yeah, blow it, slam it in. Yeah, not a euphemism. This is what you do.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, everybody, welcome back.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're a bunch of amateurs over here. Amateur hour.
This is the first time I've streamed, so be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you all for your patience. Anyone else joining us here? But anyways, to continue the thought, now that we're live, didn't realize that. But there's a section in Athena that I've heard it, and there's a really incredible backstory to the melody and the riff of it that I just felt like the actual music. Anthony lost a dear friend of his a little while ago, and that friend had sort of influenced and helped write a certain riff that is repeated and compounded in there, and I knew about that going in, but even on its own musically, I heard it and I was like, I want to listen to this forever. I don't want this to stop looping. And so I successfully convinced him hey, you got 8 bars here, let's make it 32 minimum. And we'll just keep adding, keep building, but whatever. But anyway, to sort of loop that back into sort of what we were talking about before, there's a section in here. I believe it was the My Heart Still Beating, and then going back into sort of the leads, the scream vocals in that 2 steps. I'll just play 1 second. My heart still beating, my body feels like sinking down, my heart still. So that specific section of the song, I just am obsessed with the vibe of it, and I actually in mixing and just doing a lot of really processing of different things, loop that part of the song over and over and over and over again. And like you'd think that you'd get sick of something after hearing it that many times, but I chose that section strategically. One, because it has like, as you can see, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of vocals, Mark, that you've added onto this, leading into the scream vocals that I was like pretty familiar with, but it was just like a really climactic part of the song that I felt like had the most energy. I just kept looping it, and I've heard it 150 times, and I gotta say, I am not bored of it. I am not sick of it. It's such like a key part of the song.
Oh, that's definitely my favorite part of it for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. I feel like at least for the some of the music I've written, like some of the best, like the most positive feedback I've received, it's always been a little surprising sometimes. Like, is that the case for you? Like, Mark, I feel like you're a much better like songwriter and musician than I am. Like, is it surprising sometimes when you get feedback on things, like, and compare it to like what your personal favorites are?
Compared to the various bands I have been a part of in the past where I was a key songwriter, I would say this is the most surprising because this is the most genuinely honest feedback I've ever received. So if that tells you anything about the individuals I used to work with. So yeah, no, I'm extremely appreciative of it. I think I'm most partial to that particular section of the song because, as I told you, whatever vocal lines I was trying to do was not working. And so I had to record, and Michael, the guy who was recording me, he was patient, thank God. Because I said, nope, I want to do it again because this sucks. He's like, okay, what are you going to do? I was like, I'll figure something out. And eventually we got it. And I think I'm just proud of that because it was trial and error. You know what I mean? And we just finally found it, I thought.
That part really sold me when I first listened to this. The vibe of it is so like, this is actually as far as lyrical content, it's kind of like you're in a rough spot, like, but this song, it has such a hopeful and positive vibe. Like, people are listening to the song. It was funny, while I was resetting my computer, my fiance walked in and she was like, yeah, my mom really likes your song. She said, she doesn't like the demon screaming in the beginning, but after that, all the singing's really awesome. Like, it's so happy. And like, that part, like, it's just so awesome. It's so happy and like hopeful. And I really enjoy that. It nails just the feel of the song to me.
Tell your fiance's mother, my mother would concur. So, but always love to make the moms happy.
Yep. And I will say, even for people who are not metal fans that are on my friends list on Facebook or that, that are interested in like, just being a part of my life, they all have been super positive. Like, wow, this is easily like the coolest thing you've ever come out with. Like, it sounds so good. Like, people think it's catchy. Like, it very perfectly rides that fine line of like, oh wow, this is like a cool like heavy metal song, but also it has that catchiness of like a pop song that I think like a band like Periphery really nails. So you nailed it. In short, my buddy Mark, he really took this and did something really cool, I think.
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
And to sort of like go into a little bit of the process, like I felt like the guitars were like a pretty straightforward thing of like, notching out the boxy frequencies, like playing with my sidechain compressions for the snare, with the bass drum, the vocals. I feel like this is a little bit chaotic and it's mostly my doing, but it's because I kept adding, taking away, adding a little bit more, taking away. And I kept like just trying to shape this sound of like, Mark, you sent these screams over and I was like, these are really good, but like I want so much harmonic. I feel like I wanted to create something that's like not humanly possible, but who fucking cares? If it sounds great, that's all that matters, right? And I just kept going through this process of like, I started with adding like a little bit of harmonics. Like, look at this. I was down in like the sub frequencies because I sort of wanted to start building like the girth, the weight of like your voice. And I feel like it's just not possible to do all of those things. And I kept adding these different things of like adding in some harmonic content there. And really I was just chasing harmonic complexity. So like for people watching this like at home, like the reason why a distorted or overdriven guitar sounds so cool and so pretty is it's taking a sine wave of like your clean guitar signal and then introducing these harmonic frequencies that actually expand the frequency range of the instrument and adds these really complex and interesting sounds that our ears interpret as like sort of grindy, sizzly, growly, like bass distortion. And like that was sort of like what I was chasing after. So like adding in like low end sub frequencies that like really don't exist, but just trying to help shape that character. And everything I was doing was like pretty minimal stuff. And then I kept running into like, I kept adding these like really boxy frequencies, was EQing those out, doing like some notching here, like just again, my own doing of like adding in these with the harmonic complexities across the whole spectrum, right? So I was cutting them out. And then with this multi-band compression, this has always been a really fun thing for me to use. It's kind of cool because it like, as you guys probably know, it basically, it's like a compressor and an EQ combined, where instead of like just cutting out frequencies at all times, you're just like, hey, if this certain frequency peaks a little bit here, like bring it back down just a smidge. And so instead of taking away the sonic quality of it, you're just like, I'm just gonna tame it. And felt that was like really helpful as I kept adding in more harmonic content. But then I just like defaulted, this is a big one here, like adding in the echo. Like look at that, like tiny, again, like nothing, a 1%, echo on there just to add like a little something to it. But like this iZotope plugin, this iZotope trash was like, I felt like that was exactly what I was chasing after. It just added sort of like a thickness, a creaminess, and not adding too much sizzle, which is what your voice was already providing. It added tons of like mid-range and sizzle, and I was like chasing after building out the low end on there. And so big shout out there if you can get it on a $29 deal. And then obviously the good old fashioned Valhalla, have to add that on there. And Anthony and I kept going back and forth of like, I'd pitch him sort of like a wetter mix, and he was like, no, like let's actually like bring it back down a little bit. And so we'd find like some sort of compromise. And it was again just like understanding what Anthony's sort of vision was for the song and like doing justice to what you were lending to it and making sure everything like fit there.
I will say, for all of the feedback that I sent you, I was going to Mark and like, hey man, I sent you a new mix. What do you think? And yeah, I was incorporating what he told me as well, because it's important to me, because he has taken, a band and applied his vocals. In a way, it becomes his song too. So I really wanted to make sure that Mark was super happy with the way his vocals sounded in this.
That's a good point, Mark. Just to sort of like interject before like you may comment, I literally texted Anthony. I was like, hey, have you sent this to Mark yet? Because I'm doing all of this stuff and taking a lot of like creative freedom and flexibility, but like I want to make sure that Mark, the artist, the creator, is okay with this, that like he feels like it's doing him justice and not like misinterpreting like what you're trying to do. And thankfully, like Anthony told me like, oh, you'd actually been involved in the whole thing. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't have like a ton of notes from the tracks he had sent back, except for it's like, wow, that low end really kicks you in the balls, doesn't it? It's just like it was almost a little too drowning. And then Anthony was like, yeah, I know, we're gonna probably bring it up a little bit, do like whatever, all the stuff. And I said, but hey, if you're happy with it, it's your song. It's just like, don't think I'm trying to interject with like I'm being like an evil overlord over here. It's like, no. I was like, I'm just happy to be involved. I'm just like, if you ask my feedback, here it was. And then as soon as he sent me that like final max, I was like, oh, this is the one. That's the one. Fucking absolutely killed it right here.
Yeah.
The mixing and the people I did, the first people I showed this this final mix were and I actually got to sit next to them and like watch their reaction, were the people at the Sloan School of Music. So I watched Dustin and Anthony Sloan react to this song in real time. And I'll say, Devin, for you, Anthony was like super excited when I was, that's Devin, dude. He was like, oh, really? He always plays this song. This is awesome. Like, but one thing, they were really impressed to hear that this is like your first time taking like a full band mix like this for somebody else, and really trying to like come out with like what I think sounds like a super professional product. This thing, you have taken a song, an idea of mine, and made it really sound super awesome. So I really appreciate you for that.
I am curious, Anthony. I went. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
say
it was me. I just said hell yeah.
Never, my bad. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Anthony, I actually tried to go back and find like an original iteration of Concrete Nosedive, because you mentioned like I made some suggestion of adding like a previous rhythm over some sort of like lead, and I just like I don't remember actually like doing that. It might have been for another song entirely, so this could be a totally like pointless waste of everybody's time. But I was trying to go back and find like the earliest iteration of Concrete Nosedive to hear like, how did this start, you know, like where did it start from? And like the earliest one was like still pretty fucking good, you know. This has been like a pretty fleshed out idea from the first time like you pitched it to me, and so it's like a pretty easy process for me, so like thanks for that. But it was like yeah, just really cool to be a part of this, and also just to be able to like work with, you know, guitarists that are like infinitely better than myself, Devin, like vocalists that just like are just really phenomenal, like really tight, and just like really good songwriters and storytellers, Mark. And then like Anthony, like your ability to write music, craft these riffs. Then we talked about it the other day of like how we approach our songwriting process. And just you come up with these like really, really sick ideas. And I just felt like the only thing I was doing was sort of like acting as like a little bit of a glue, and just trying to, you know, make everything that's there that sounds great, just take it to like it's sort of like final Frieza level like, stage, like just to enter like a little
Dragon Ball Z. Yes.
So I don't know if you wanted to do another like listen through, but I felt like yeah, that's like really all I had to add to the rest of it.
I just want to say, you know, just to kind of go over my songwriting for the song, you know, this song actually stemmed from the song Whale Songs. I was writing it as like a bridge, the pitch to Jeff, and that riff, the main riff that comes in the beginning, is was a riff that I wanted to play in Whale Songs. And ultimately Jeff sent me like, dude, this is so crazy, like you just have to like speed this up and make it its own thing. And this whole song stems from that. So it's kind of a cool beginning to end of Concrete Nosedive, how it started and ended for the people who aren't involved with the development of this stuff.
I either like didn't know that or I forgot about that, and honestly I'm actually glad that it's its own thing. I felt like it's much better served in its totality than just
originally I think the song is 175 beats per minute. Originally we were playing at like 130 or whatever Whale song was in, and I was like, and actually you were like, you need to like speed this up and make it its own thing. And I was like, okay, sounds good.
Oh yeah, I do remember that now actually.
Yeah, so I kind of owe this song to Jeff a little bit, and so also, you know, we've been making these periphery references all the time. I'm gonna give you guys a little inside music theory knowledge. The entire song of Scarlet uses this motif of where instead of coming in on one, they're coming in on the and of four. This entire song plays off of that, where all the guitar riffs come in on the and of four. So there's a little music theory for you. You're counting to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the and of four. The it's all. It all stems from that. So a little Mark Holcomb for you, if you will. That's why you're getting what am I saying? The periphery vibe.
Yep.
That makes so much more sense. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
Should we close out with a final listen through?
yep.
Take it.
Let's do it.
Before we do hit the play button, I just do want to say, you know, thank you guys again. I will always work with the three of you if you want to work. Like this has been such an easy and fun and personally rewarding project. I mean, just fulfilling a dream of mine that I've been working on for so long. You guys have made it happen, and that means the world to me. So
Hell yeah, man. Dude, I'll just say this, like I've seen the amount of like work and like the just dedication you put into this, man. Like kudos to you for doing that, because like I wanted to do a lot of things like this, but for you to have that just step back and motivation to do it is awesome, dude. And I'll just give you that again, man. It turned out awesome, and it's a lot of work to do to put into a product that is rewarding as hell for you, not just for like everyone else, but just for yourself personally, and like kick ass for doing that, man. It's awesome.
thanks, man. And
Yeah,
I will definitely
and
be reaching out for you for more guitar solos.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, man.
And
Let's
I'll-
do some Zach Wild, just crazy bullshit on one of those aggressive songs, and just like just random noise bullshit of just notes.
just squeals the whole time.
Yes,
Um,
dude.
but,
I'm ready for
Hey,
it.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm all for that. And just to echo Devin and Jeff's sentiments, yeah, the effort shows, Anthony, and it was you've been giving me compliments this whole time, and I appreciate that. But the product was already good from the get go. All I did was try to keep up and try not to fuck up. And you know, so I appreciate you allowing me to play in the sandbox. As I've said before, it's just it was good without me. I just thought like maybe I can throw some extra seasoning on these already tasty licks.
Well,
Boom.
you have taken what was once a sandbox and turned it into an amusement park, my friend. So
I'll take it. That's the best compliment ever.
It's good.
Hell yeah.
all right. Well, anybody who's watched this video or watched the live stream, even through all the crazy nonsense, I do appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy Concrete Nosedive, and look forward to more singles releasing as I get vocals and as Jeff and I hash them out. So thanks for joining me, guys, and let's rock it out.
To let
That was Anthony Tardino's Concrete Nosedive featuring Mark Kamier and Devin Huck. I appreciate you for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Thank you guys.
Oh yeah.
So much fun.